Greetings, folks. Welcome. We're here in Morrisville, Pennsylvania, and we have a show for you. Unbelievable show. Get prepared. That's all I can say. But before we get started and I introduce our guests for this afternoon, let me read from the introduction of a paper that was written by the author Michael Salla. Michael Salla is a professor at American University, and this paper is titled The Motivations of Extraterrestrial Races. That's exactly what I said. The motivation of extraterrestrial races. Let me just read a couple paragraphs from his introduction. There are an extensive number of extraterrestrial races known to be currently interacting with Earth and the human population. In a 1998 interview, Clifford Stone, a retired United States Army sergeant who served in the United States Army for 22 years and participated in covert operations to retrieve crashed extraterrestrial ships and extraterrestrial biological entities, called EBEs, for example, revealed there were a total of 57 extraterrestrial races known to the United States military. From this proof of extraterrestrial races, a number are more active than others and can be claimed to have the most significance for human evolution and sovereignty. The extensive number of reports and testimonies concerning different extraterrestrial races indicates that the motivation and activity of extraterrestrial races vary greatly, and an idea of these motivations can be distilled from close examination of these reports and testimonies. Now, the most compelling testimonies on the different extraterrestrial races comes from two sources. Number one, whistleblowers, such as Sergeant Stone, who served for long periods in the military, and or corporations participating in what is called black projects. And the second group are contactees. In a broad sense, are those who have had direct physical contact with extraterrestrials and communicated with them. This includes both contactees in the classic sense of those who have voluntarily interacted with extraterrestrial races, and abductees who have been involuntarily incorporated into extraterrestrial programs. I will first refer to some of the main sources of information for different extraterrestrial races generally operating on Earth, then attempt to make specific descriptions about the motivations and activities of these races using available sources. Now, while there may be considerable debate over the accuracy of the information provided by the whistleblowers and the contactees presented in this report, I have argued elsewhere that whistleblowers and contactees provide the strongest evidentiary source for the extraterrestrial phenomena. Now, with that, just let me say quickly that various times throughout our attempt to teach around the country covering various subjects, invariably when the subject lends itself to extraterrestrial presence and extraterrestrial contact with human beings, the question always comes up. Well, brother, we believe you and we understand, but why is it that extraterrestrials or aliens, for example, never abduct so-called people of color? You never hear of Shaniqua Johnson in Compton or Rahid in Harlem being abducted by extraterrestrials. And frankly, that's a good question. Primarily what I have encountered in my research is primarily one person that comes from an episode called The Interrupted Journey, where a motion picture was created through the experience of a couple, the Betty and Barney Hill story, where James Earl Jones played the role of Barney Hill in that story. But other than that, there are very few, if any, that I am aware of who have had direct contact with extraterrestrial beings. Well, that has now terminated itself. This afternoon, you will hear directly from one in our community who has had a direct contact with extraterrestrials and had experience not one time, not two times, but over an extended period of time. I will not go into any further explanation. That will be his responsibility, and I think he will do it well. So with that said, and with me today, I want to introduce you to our friend, our associate, our brother, Riley Martin.
Thank you, Brother Hamza.
Thank you
for having me here today. I'm very honored that you have taken your valuable time to come here today to film and to listen to my story. I must tell you that since December 28, 1987, after having written a book of my experiences, I have since then done numerous radio and television broadcasts and things of this nature, and I have spoken around the country. Nonetheless, one must get into the body of the work that I have done in order to ascertain if what I am about to reveal to you is feasible. In 1953,
Yes.
at the age of 7, in northeastern Arkansas, near the banks of the St. Francis River, my family was sharecroppers. I saw lights in the sky above the river for 3 nights in a row. It was in the wee hours of the morning. Strangely, the 2 brothers who slept in this great big room with me, I shook them and could not awaken them, which is unusual, you know. Could not awaken them. On the 3rd night, it seemed as if I heard voices. The lights were so close until it literally illuminated my room, lit it up. And I heard a voice, seems like I heard a voice saying, "Friend Martin, come out. We have needs to speak with thee."
Yes.
And so I felt compelled to get up and put my clothing on and go and investigate these lights. I took my dog, Brown Boy, a very faithful dog, Fearless, and we went down to the river bottom to investigate this light. As we came through a cane break, I could feel static electricity all in my hair and my clothing. I saw the leaves shaking and things of this nature. And then I stepped into the opening and I saw the ship. The ship stood about 3 to 4 meters above the ground, and it was moored by 3 flexible legs. That means it danced about somewhat like a cork on water. And I could feel the vibrations of the ship. It was almost sensual. And presently, though the ship, it looked metallurgic, like polished silver.
Yes.
After a short span of time, the dome of the ship, so to speak, literally cleared up, as clear as glass. And I saw 2 beings standing there, looking down at me. Then, Brother Hamza,
Yes.
it occurred to me that I better get out of there, you know.
Yes.
But I didn't have time to, Brother Hamza. I was hit with a blue-white light and just transfixed in place. Now, my fearless dog, Brown Boy, he was not transfixed. And he did not want no part of that. And I looked over my shoulder and I saw his ears flapping, Brother Hamza, as he went back over the hill. You know, he didn't want no part of that, though I thought him to be really a fearless dog, and he really was. But for some reason, the scent or what have you was off-putting to him. Anyway, as I stood transfixed, shortly there was a bright light at the bottom of the ship, and then I saw 2 beings walk out of the light and walk briskly towards me. One a little taller than the other. They were wearing bubble helmets. The taller one, the male, whom I later came to know as Tan, call him Tan. His name is Okwa Tanjin One, but I called him Tan. He was wearing a kind of a sky blue jumpsuit, one-piece jumpsuit. There was on his left breast a 7-pointed star. And in the midst of that star was what appeared to be a fat H type configuration. The shorter one, which was a female, Oni Sayer One, whom I called Nella, she was wearing a kind of a light greenish type of a jumpsuit, one piece. And on her left chest, breast, was the caricature of, say, a fish. the outline of a fish.
Yes.
And within the midst of it was a little H.
I see.
Yeah, seems to be a common theme. That H seems to be a common theme in their insignias. And they said, "Friend Martin, come and go with us." And as we were walking back towards the ships, the one had me on each side, they said, "Friend Martin, don't you remember us?" I said, "No, who are you?" And they said, "Don't you remember us, Friend Martin, from there, near the Tigris and Euphrates in the Nile River Valley, when your ancestors did build the Pyram and the Valley of Giza," obviously talking about the pyramids. I said, "I don't know, it's coming back to me now," but so they took me aboard the ship, and thus began this amazing odyssey. These same aliens, they took me to the mothership, which the Cassini are now taking pictures of near Saturn.
That's correct.
Right. And on 4 occasions, approximately every 11 years, these same 2 beings would return, no matter where I was, and they would take me up. Now, I would have no true memory of these escapades, Brother Hamza, for 35 years.
Yes.
It was only after that last physiological meeting in the Ozark Mountains near the Oklahoma border in 1987, on December 28, 1987, after which they told me, said, "Friend Martin, it's time for you to remember." Apparently remember what they had been teaching me over the years. So now I know who they are, why they're here, how long they've been here, their physiology, their sociology, and things of this nature. And from what they tell me, things does not bode well for the planet Earth.
Well, that's why I want to
Yeah.
get into some of that. I definitely wanted to get into some of that. But I wanted to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about your background, where you were born, what part of the country you were born, and it's a little bit about your education and so forth, and some of your early experiences as a youth, perhaps as a young person. Anything distinguishing you?
Well, Brother Hamza, I was born on the 9th of May, 1946, in the southern delta of the state of Mississippi. I was the 7th son of John Martin. My family were poor sharecroppers.
Yes.
And that winter of my birth, the river rose, there were torrential rains over the levees, and my family moved across the river into northeastern Arkansas to begin sharecropping near the St. Francis River. I went to school there in this little town in Arkansas, Wynne, Arkansas, that I was raised in. I only completed the 8th grade at the country school that I was going to. In latter years, I did manage to get a GED, but this is about the extent of my formal education of the earthly